Hello, so this is an initial progress marker for this game that I'm developing. I'm using Unity. Let's just dive straight in and take a look at this. It's not really a particularly interesting video, and this all just looks pretty rubbish at the moment. There's a lot of placeholder textures that I'm using here. So imagine this little green dot that or box that I've selected is a dude running along a floor, and now climbing up a ladder and just climbing down. And there's a door here. Player can select the door. Door opens. Then the unit can run past. There's multi-select, so you can select another unit, tell them both to move to the same location. Slight issue that you can't actually distinguish them apart because they've moved into the exact same location. So that is something that I'm going to need to fix eventually. The doors are player controlled. The idea being that they're mostly defensive. In order to let your units pass, you have to open them. There's an elevator over here that isn't implemented at the moment. I'm just starting implementing this at the moment. So let's just switch over to the editor and just explain the development process that I'm sort of using. So I'm using the scene editor to sort of prototype, to really develop these components. So components such as the door, for example, or the elevator, or the navigation, or unit selection. I don't actually want to handcraft the levels in this game. I want them to be procedurally generated. Probably handcraft rooms and then slot different rooms together. But in order to test these components, because I don't have like a room editor or kind of overall level procedural algorithm thingy, then I'm kind of throwing together this kind of way of putting together a temporary kind of level in the editor. So there's game objects in here that only exist for the purpose on startup of being almost compiled into in-game useful stuff. For example, under this static surface game object, I've got all these edge nodes and edges, and these actually get turned into on startup the navigation graph that the units move along. These actual game objects aren't even used after that point, so they could actually be removed, but they're useful to be able to see visually the navigation graph. The units themselves are kind of just placed on later. Those are actually the simplest part, I think. The way the doors work is that along this edge here, this part of the navigation, there's an ability to associate an edge with a door. So that means that when the unit sort of wanders along and it's about to approach that edge, or I think I've called them surfaces, then it checks to see whether there's a door associated with that surface, and if there is, it sees whether the door's shut or open to determine whether it can continue passing through. So it's not actually using sort of collision detection against walls or doors. It's actually just entirely using the navigation graph. And the main reason I wanted to do that is because it's quite clean to do it this way. And also, when I start throwing in loads and loads of enemy units, I think it might actually possibly perform better. You can actually detect that a wall is coming up long before you actually hit it this way. You don't actually have to exactly hit it. You can actually look ahead and see where the obstruction is. This edge here is marked as a wall, which I probably could actually determine that from the steepness, but of course this one's a ladder, so maybe I should have had an is ladder. Anyway, this stuff doesn't matter because this is all just for testing it. Eventually, ideally have a sort of like room editor, and then have, like I said before, slot all the rooms together. The way I'm looking at implementing elevators is, again, I'm trying to use the same navigation graph as much as possible. I don't really want to have any like special cases such as with the doors or with the elevators where you're at the edge here and then you want to be able to click on the elevator and move onto it, and really when the elevator stops I just want to wire up its edge to the rest of the navigation graph. Then the existing navigation code will take care of being able to hop on and off the elevator. In the editor I've got this elevator shaft game object, which again is one of these editor specific thingies that's thrown away at runtime. It's used to just initialize stuff, and this defines really defines two levels, which really a level is just determined by two exit points, the left exit and the right exit. So this is the right exit here, and as well as that, it specifies an elevator to use, and the elevator, this one, is an actual in-game object. So at startup, when the game processes this elevator shaft, it will place the elevator, I think, against the lower level. It doesn't do that yet. That's just what I'm sort of planning to do with it. Other than that, these squares, I could probably just remove these, because these aren't actually. I think I was using them for trying to. I've got to possibly, even though this isn't tile based at the moment, because this is just a big block. Having tile based stuff is quite useful in terms of like field of view stuff, and possibly like line of sight and lighting, possibly. So I probably am going to have it tile based. So that's what I was just looking at there. Don't think there's anything really to go over. I'll just go over stuff in future videos. If anyone has watched this, thanks for watching. Hopefully it wasn't too boring. See you next time.